Hi guys, it's hot. It's really hot. We've been having a heat wave for about 2 weeks in Lyon now, and today it is 34 degrees. And I'm melting, basically. It's ridiculous. I am so stupidly hot. I have the balcony doors open in a vain attempt to get some sort of breeze in here, so the video is going to be slightly louder than usual. I'm very, very sorry. But today I want to talk to you about An Ember in the Ashes. Again, last week I did the first of two videos talking about the questions that HarperCollins kindly sent out with my proof copy of An Ember in the Ashes. So I did the first two questions last week. I'm going to do the final two questions today. And again, just a general, read this book, read it now, it's really, really good. So the first question. It's easy to let fear control your actions. It governs Leah's decisions from the outset in An Ember in the Ashes, and in reality the pressures of modern life can be just as difficult to navigate. We all have moments where we feel out of control of our own lives. What helps you regain control? Have you ever been a victim of peer pressure or felt pushed into doing something you don't necessarily agree with? What advice would you give to someone in a similar situation? Well, the first part, what do I do to regain control of my life? I stress clean. I stress clean a lot. I was not a particularly tidy person when I was younger, and then I got my first flat, and in order to feel slightly more in control of stressful situations and feel more like an adult, I cleaned, and that has stayed with me. So I stress clean. My husband finds this intensely amusing, but yeah, I stress clean. I also make lists because I start to feel a little bit more relaxed and in control if I can see things written down. I can see what order I need to do things in, how urgent they are. That door is banging and it's really annoying me, I'm really sorry. So I stress clean and I make lists. That helps me feel like I'm in control again. Victim of peer pressure. I think everyone has been a victim of peer pressure at some point in their lives, at school or at work. And the only thing that I can really recommend is stay true to yourself. Try and stay true to your core beliefs. And what you feel is right, and that can be incredibly difficult, and I know that we don't always manage it. I know that I didn't always manage it in situations like that, but try and stay true to yourself and talk to people. It's remarkably freeing to talk to people and realise that they've been in similar situations, maybe not the exact same situation, but people have usually been in a similar situation to you, and it's good to talk about it. Second question, power. There are plenty of examples of abuse of power around the world and in An Ember in the Ashes. The impact of power both on the powerful and powerless is key. We all feel powerless sometimes. Have you ever fought against someone in a powerful position and stood up for yourself? If so, how did you do it? What advice would you give to someone in a similar position? I had a string of really terrible bosses. I mean really terrible bosses, which made life a bit hellish when I was working. I'm very, very lucky at the moment in that I don't have to work, which means that I have a huge amount of time left to read, which is miraculous. But I had a string of awful bosses and awful situations that I then ended up in. And I stood up for myself. The first few times I didn't. I ran away. And then I hit one situation where a boss was being completely inappropriate. And I decided this is not okay. I'm not prepared to deal with this situation. So I made a list of everything that happened. I went to the higher up boss and I said, this is what's happening. This is not okay. I am not okay with this. What are you going to do about it? And in that situation, I was an admin. The guy further up was a boss. I was expendable. And the guy said, well, we're not going to do anything. I said, fine, I'm leaving. Now I know that that is not always possible. It's not always possible to just say, fine, I'm going to leave this job and you're going to have to find someone else to do what I do. Because jobs are very hard to come by. Money is crucial for surviving, and it's really hard, actually, in a situation like that. So my advice is to talk to people. If you can get out of the situation, get out of it. Try and confront it first and say, look, this is not okay, what are you going to do about this? But sometimes that's not always possible and you have to deal with it, so talk to people. If you can talk to people and try and resolve the situation, that's great, and if you can't resolve the situation, then talk to people outside of it and feel like you have some backup and support from other people. I wouldn't have survived some of the situations that I was in work without support from friends and from family, and really talking and communication is, hello cat, is the best thing that I can recommend. So those are my answers to those two big questions. I think it's fantastic that HarperCollins have done this. I think it's really great that they are promoting the similarities between fantasy and real life situations. I think that's really great. If you haven't picked up your copy of An Ember in the Ashes yet, do it! It is such a good book. It is one of the best books I have read this year. And if you fancy listening to the book, I have just discovered that my favourite duo of audiobook narrators, Steve West and Fiona Hardingham, who narrated the Scorpio Races, have also narrated this, which is amazing! So I'm going to be listening to that all this weekend. Next week I will be talking to you about summer reads because it's so hot and I may have actually died and melted into a little puddle of goo. I'm really sorry about the traffic today. Next week I will attempt to make it quieter. Anyway, I hope you guys have had a great week, have a great weekend, and I will see you next Friday.